Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Bat Force Radio. We've got a Bat Force Tom.
Yo.
We've got Dunk.
What up?
And I'm Robin Cross in Canada. And this week's guest, at this point, we really don't even need to introduce him around these parts anymore. You know him for Batman White Knight, Punk Rock Jesus, Tokyo Ghost, Plot Holes, The Wake, lots of other stuff. And coming soon, soon-to-be live Kickstarter for a brand new Zorro comic being published by Massive. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, Sean Murphy.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
Nice to see you again. And last time I was here, it was like a Hollywood Squares. There was 9, and now there's only 3 of you, so this is a lot easier.
Yeah, we killed a few.
All right. Legends, I mean, Gramps died of old age.
Yeah.
Legends has got other shit going on. He's making more Sean Murphy pillows to sleep with.
Body pillows.
Those
those boyfriend pillows.
Nice, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm excited to talk. I wanted to, you guys reached out about Batman Beyond to do like a post wrap-up type thing. And I said, yeah, let's do it when I've got Zorro to pimp. So here I am.
Very nice. Sweet. Thank you.
And so we did touch on, I think the last time you were here, we did talk about the fact that you were going to be doing Zorro stuff for a while, but now it's all out there. The Kickstarter it's up there. People can see the Kickstarter right now. If you go to Kickstarter and search either Zorro or Sean Murphy, you can see the project there. It's ready to go live. How has the process been getting ready for this?
Oh, it's been interesting. I sort of wanted to try a new pipeline that started with plot holes. I wanted to use Kickstarter or crowdfunding. I think I used Indiegogo for that. And then I was going to just wait to see if a publisher approached me to publish it through the direct market. And Whatnot or Massive Publishing came up to me and they're like, yeah, we would like to do this. So I ended up making a 3-book deal with them. They're going to run the Kickstarter for me, which is nice. They're going to take care of the shipping and the printing and all that stuff and customer service for like a percentage, which is lower than the percentage than because usually I had to do that stuff myself.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to do that, and then they're going to get a bunch of variant covers and play the Whatnot game of collectibles and going on the auction site and doing that. And then they're in the direct market. They're with Diamond, so you'll get it in your regular comic book shop too. So yeah, they're throwing a lot of different marketing ideas at me, and what I like about them is they're trying to think outside the box. And no publisher I know of is really using the Whatnot apps, auction sites as much as they are. I know Boom dabbles in it, and you're seeing some kind of like crowdfund hybrids kind of go out there, but I don't think anyone's ever done it high profile in the way I would do it. So this is kind of the experiment.
Wow. And one thing I want to note quickly on Massive Publishing is our friend Blake Northcott was recently named the editor-in-chief over there, so congrats to her on that.
Yep, congrats to Blake.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of publishers are shrinking right now, but Massive is growing and expanding. So I'm curious to see how they do in the next few years, and if I can be part of that, then I'm thrilled.
And all this back-end stuff that they're taking care of is probably, arguably, the most labor-intensive part of it, running the whole Kickstarter campaign and then getting all that shipping done. That had to have been a pain.
Yeah. They've done a few of these before. We're looking at the Berserker campaign, too, to see what the model of that was. And I think like comic book shops 5-10 years ago would have been miffed by the idea of crowdfunding. but the culture's changed a bit where I think comic book shops are fine with it, and however the books get to them, so we're trying to offer like a retailer incentive. Not sure exactly what we're going to do, but if you're a retailer and if you want to get in on the Kickstarter, we'll have like a discount if you buy 20 units or something like that. So a lot of it's that they're dealing with, so I don't have to bother with it this time, which is nice. So I'm just kind of letting them run with it and see what they can come up with.
Yeah.
And with the way that the crowdfunding stuff has evolved, like even people that missed out on the Plot Holes campaign when that went, that's coming into comic shops now, and in single issues.
Yeah. So the first wave will be Plot Holes as single issues, and then they'll put out a trade later. But it's going to be different than the Indiegogo trade that people got. I find that they're just two different customers too. Some people just want to buy their books through their shop and not online. So I don't think it's, taking customers from one side to the other. I think it's all additive. So Plot Holes is the first wave, and then Zorro will be a big deal. And then the third book we haven't announced yet. But I plan on doing these things before I might start getting back to Batman.
Ooh.
Hurry up.
I had to mention Batman because I know that's a mostly Batman podcast.
No, but people love you, so they follow you to wherever, including
I'm pumped for Zorro. I'm like, I can't wait to see. Like, look at this.
That is very cool.
I've never, I can't say I've ever jumped into a Zorro comic before,
okay.
But this is definitely one that I know we're all going to get into. Yeah,
so it's Zorro, Man of the Dead. There's a Day of the Dead vibe, so I think this book should do really well in Mexico and South America. I've never really done a Western before, so doing this was a neat way to finally do my Western. And I'm a big Zorro fan. I love swashbuckling and pulp characters, and I love Toth. I looked into because Zorro is 102 or 3 years old, so I thought maybe it was public domain. And it's not. So I contacted the people who own it, ZPI, and I asked them, I know you guys have a deal with these third-party publishers, but would you be willing to make a deal with me? And I would basically run the model that I ran with Plot Holes, but give me Zorro. So my plan is, well, if Plot Holes brought in, $250,000, a name like Zorro might bring in a lot more than that, especially if I had decent marketing behind me. So this is kind of like stage 2 of the experiment. And ZPI was very agreeable to this. They've been really easy to work with. One of the dangers of licensing is you have people that own the properties and they're just in your face all the time making changes. So like, as much as I'd love to do a Blade Runner book, I don't know who owns that. But it could be a giant pain in the ass. Whereas the Zorro people are like, great, stop bothering us. Just draw the fucking comic. Send us the check, So at the end of this, I'm actually wondering if they own anything else, because part of licensing is just finding good partners.
Nice.
It's been a learning experience. But I think especially licensing is funny too. A lot of the smaller publishers in comics are starting to go under now. So I think in the next year or two, you're going to see a bargain on IP. If Boom or IDW or whoever loses the rights to something, I feel like it's a good time to scoop up that stuff. I mean, I know there's sort of chaos going on right now, but I think that there's opportunity in chaos. So I know a lot of writers that are looking into licensing just to see if, it can help their brand or it helps them shake up their careers in some kind of way. It's really fascinating because, licensing used to be kind of a joke, like, oh, licensing comics, no one cares about that. That's kind of like the fast way to a dead end, but it's different now. I think there's actually opportunity with some licensing stuff. At least that's what I'm hoping. So
it is a messy time right now, and it'll be interesting to see how some of those smaller publishers do fare in this, because unfortunately some of them might lose a lot of exposure with what is happening with Diamond. They've been the distributor for comic shops for a long time. They were the only game in town. A few years ago, during I think when we were still on lockdown largely, DC left Diamond, and that was a huge thing. They left, and Lunar was created to distribute them, as well as a couple others that are doing it. And then shortly after that, Marvel followed suit. They went over to Penguin. So that really showed everyone, okay, we can do this now. So Image is on their way. Image is out now as of next month.
Yeah.
IDW is gone. Yeah, all of these publishers. So it makes me wonder what the future looks like for Diamond, and what that means. If Diamond goes away, what does that mean for some of these small publishers that their place has been Diamond for a long time?
Yeah. And the biggest account that Diamond has right now, I think, is Boom.
Yeah.
It's just a weird world we're living in, because Diamond used to be a kingmaker. They used to be, they had a monopoly, literally. I think COVID exposed a lot of weaknesses in the industry that we were bound to address anyway. It just sort of fast tracked to how fragile everything was. And when I remember when DC Comics pulled out of Diamond, you had people from Image saying that DC was a bunch of sociopaths for leaving, and why would you do this? And like, they were going hard out to defend this, Diamond, but now Image has left Diamond too. So it's like, it's funny seeing people being bad at business exposed and having to eat their words, and the hypocrisy is on display. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And dude, as someone that works in a comic shop and has dealt with Diamond, all of these, like Lunar was a brand new company created to distribute DC. They were immediately better. Penguin is already better. So forever, every single week, the first line item on our invoice from Diamond was the charge that they apply to every shop every week for the privilege of getting your books the day before they go on sale. They charged you for that.
Yeah.
That's
as soon as
insane.
Lunar and Penguin started up, we now get the stuff at least a week before, and they don't charge you for it.
So I feel like competition is always good, and I like a disruptor. And I don't know if the people who are running any of these companies are good or bad or evil or whatever, or if they're playing game theory. I don't know. But I know when, actually, Robin, you'll know, Diamond, people were claiming that Diamond was screwing them over for years, because Diamond gave like 20% discount within 1 month and then 20% more the next month. So it's like, okay, wait, if you claim you've been giving me a bargain all this time, how are you able to offer me 40% discount in 2 months and still survive as a company? That's a little suspicious.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Diamond's come up with a good answer for that.
No, I don't generally see many answers from Diamond on much of anything.
Right.
And to their credit, on their side, they didn't have any reason to give anyone answers for a long, long time, because what were you going to do? Oh, you don't like it? You're going to go to someone else?
Right.
Yeah, well, they've been the big fish the entire time. So it's like, what are you going to? Oh, my bad. That's it.
But I do
just stick with the order from us.
For the people that are working there, that's their livelihood. I do worry about what's going to happen to them, because So like, we're at this point, because we're getting so much from Penguin and from Lunar, and like now Lunar has added supplies, so we're now getting bags and boards and comic boxes from them. We're at the point now of our Diamond shipments. Some weeks are 2 boxes, where before it was 15 to 20.
Wow.
Right.
So that, how are you surviving, as a company?
Yep. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they look like in a year.
Yeah.
So you said Boom, their biggest client is Boom.
Yeah, that's
so.
that's the biggest fish. Now, what Diamond is still a wholesaler for Marvel, so they do still offer Marvel, but they aren't the best source to get it. They do still offer IDW, for example. They do still offer. They will still be offering Image, but they're just a wholesaler. They're not the distributor now. And even new publishers. There's many people probably haven't heard of them yet because they don't have anything published yet. But there's that new a new publisher called Distillery.
Right.
That is just what I think we're maybe this month or next month is their first sampler. But immediately Diamond is sharing them with Lunar. So they're not even going to be the sole source for Distillery titles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a crazy time right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like this is a thing that's never happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how many people care about this who are listening, but I think this stuff's super fascinating.
Yeah, it's
And another thing that came from this change. So when DC switched over to Lunar, they changed to putting their books on sale on Tuesdays. New Comic Book Day for the past, over a decade now. New Comic Day has been every Wednesday. DC switched it, started putting their stuff out on Tuesdays. When Lunar made the announcement that they were taking on Image now, they were going to be Image's distributor, they announced that Image books were also going to go on sale on Tuesdays.
oof.
But then there must have been enough of a response to that. Comic people, comic shop, any business is going to be to a degree opposed to change.
Mhm.
So a few days, I think it was within a week of, there must have been enough of a response due to, businesses not wanting to change that practice that Lunar rescinded or Image, I think it was, rescinded that and said, yeah, okay, we're going to stick to Wednesdays. So looks like it'll remain just DC on Tuesdays.
Yeah, fascinating. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. So many people probably don't care. There are a lot of people listening that I just go into the shop once every couple weeks and get my books. I don't care about any of this.
Well, it's hard to know how many people really care about any of this stuff online. Like, how many customers, Robin, do you have that really follow their creators on Twitter and really have an opinion?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. That's a lot.
Well, no, a lot. It still surprises me sometimes. So someone will come in to pick up their books and, I'll pull their books out of their file, drop them on the counter for them and say, oh, I'll point to the wall and say, you should go check out, such and such book right there. You'll probably want to read that. Why would I want to? Well, it's from, it's a Tom King book. Like, oh, who's that? Oh, you have loved 8 other books he's written. Oh, okay, I didn't know. That's the thing that happens all the time. So I can't imagine how many people don't follow creators they like on social media when the number that you can see don't even remember, whose work they particularly enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has to be less than 5%. All the importance that creators put into Twitter, all the drama out there, all the outrage, all the behind the scenes gossip based on social media. I don't know if it actually matters to the normies who read
But there's so many
comics.
trolls. Like, there's just people out there that just doesn't matter who you are. They just throw shit out there and they're not fans or anything. They just want to rattle the cage, right?
Yeah, I will say the majority of customers in the shop, I feel like they find out about a title that they want to read from us telling them about it.
Yeah.
And that's why Image will give us PDFs on the FOC, the final order cutoff date, so that we can read that stuff ahead of time. So then we read it and we tell customers, so then they know to put it on their file and they know what's coming.
I don't know, like maybe it also depends on like the type of customer that you are too. If you're not following creators online, you're sure as shit not caring about their drama online.
Yeah.
And so and I feel like I don't know, maybe
character.
Maybe it's just me personally the last year or so. I feel like I haven't, maybe it's I'm not investing in it or I haven't seen it. I haven't heard much drama. The one thing though was
here we go.
Shout out to Clayton Crane.
Oh, damn.
would love to have him on the podcast to talk about other things. But that drama was probably the only thing that I was like, holy fuck, what?
What's this? What?
Oh, Sean.
Yeah, that was some comic drama that may have had some crossover appeal to normies.
Dude,
what happened?
Jerry Springer type shit. Dunk. Do you have, what's that guy's comic shop called? His online comic
Black Flag.
shop? Do you have any ties to that? Or did you ever work with anybody?
No, not at all.
And this was around the time that wasn't what you were at the con where this happened, where it came out.
Yeah, C2E2, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I was there. I saw it all. No,
yeah.
there was a lot of drama that came about that between Black Flagged ownership in Clayton Crane and ownership
partnership, right?
Yeah, the partnership and the wife.
Yeah,
it
the
started.
Owner,
I don't know.
the owner
Go
wrote
ahead, Tom.
huge.
I gotta keep my mouth shut.
The owner wrote this like first he wrote something on Facebook and then he recorded like a selfie video and he went live, basically talking about this love triangle. On the company Facebook, he went live and like just it was like I forget how long it was.
It was like Blair Witch Project with the snot coming out of your nose.
Yo, bro, the guy was
I wish I was
the
joking.
guy that, does he fall asleep halfway through his rant, or is that something else?
I don't know if that was something else.
No, he was wide awake and
okay.
It was it was awkward to watch. Like, you know, when you watch something on TV and you're like, you feel awkward for that person and like, you're like, you don't want to see
embarrassment.
Yeah, but this is like legit, like live, and he just aired out all his laundry that was going on and self-incriminated himself with things that were going on with Crane and wife.
Brutal.
And then it was just like, whoa.
Now, anytime Clayton Crane posts on any social media, there's at least one person commenting, "Clayton, please fuck my wife."
It's horrible. That's why a lot of the comments get turned off when you post stuff, but it's like
it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
Oh.
But to his credit, he's staying on there and still using social media. Yeah. Remember when the whole thing went down the most recent time that the Matina stuff came out? I don't think he's gone back to social media since.
Oh God, Matina. But he's still working, still getting gigs.
Oh yeah, he hasn't been at a con this year though. Last year, I think his last con was in Tokyo.
So I remember there's an artist named Jason Latour that had some drama, and he was grooming or something, and he got canceled.
Oh God,
damn!
I feel like I remember this.
I know the name, but I don't recall the.
We are on our laptops.
Drama.
Come on.
He's not a big name. He's been around comics a while. He was friends with Robbie Rodriguez and Ivan Brandon and those guys.
Name sounds familiar.
Wasn't Robbie Rodriguez also in his own thing?
Yeah, he was in a thing. That whole clique got into.
Oh God!
Independently, yeah, like it's like a group of guys not to hang out with, honestly. Rodriguez took a photo of his own asshole and posted it on Twitter.
Oh Lord!
All right.
Well, I mean, that's the right place for it.
I'm good.
Yeah, don't Google it.
Don't Google.
I mean, if you're gonna post an asshole picture, the asshole of the internet is an appropriate place.
When people get canceled and they disappear on social media, they still have careers. Like, what are you doing exactly? Like, Cameron Stewart had that whole thing. I know he's still drawing. I follow him on Instagram. I don't know what he did. I chat with him every now and then. I have no idea what's going on with him. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of want to ask all these guys, like, what do you do now that you can't be on social media and companies won't hire you? Like, does this just go away? Do you have to like just wait out the storm? How bad was it? Can you get over it? Can you apologize? And getting into like the Warren Ellis stuff, like how can he ever come back? How many apologies could he give before he can get his career? I'm always interested in the math of all this stuff.
Yeah, it's tough.
It depends on who you are, right? I guess, because like if it's a story that continues to resurface, you have to like relive it over and over again. Yeah, and it all depends. It's weird. It's kind of weird how it functions because social media is a different aspect compared to like back in the day. When there was no social media, you did something wrong, you slept a night and waited a while and you came back out again. Now it's like, oh wait, you're the guy who did this 10 years ago.
Right.
Like, wow, fuck.
Yeah. Like Brian Wood, Jesus, that's like 10, 15 years ago with the Tess Fowler thing.
Oh wow.
It's funny because most of these people have been caught. Like, I haven't seen a big, compelling case against anyone for like 3 years now.
Well, people are starting to see that it's not very good if you do those things.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the thing, though. Because I hope when any of these things come out, someone being accused of something, I always hope that it's at least hope that they actually did it and deserve to be getting dragged through the mud, because when someone gets accused of something, the headlines all come out. But if it's proven later that, this was, some kind of bullshit accusation just to hurt them, there are never headlines about that. That's going to be reported on page 8.
You have to fight for your career.
It's almost, because we've seen so many of these cases now, we're almost waiting for, if you have one person accusing you of something, unless there's hard evidence, you're probably going to be okay. If it's 12 people saying the same thing, watch out.
Where there's, there's smoke, there's fire. And luckily for you, Sean, the only thing you've ever been accused of is being too nice.
Right? Well,
how dare you?
Stop doing that.
Extremely nice.
More positive though, something we saw. You hung out on I don't know if it was like a live cast or what it was with Scott Snyder. You finally reconnected with him.
Yeah, I was really happy to see. Granted, I hadn't asked either of you, if you had been talking to each other again, but I remember a while back it did seem like you guys didn't talk for a bit, so it was very nice to see. That
it was never any kind of personal thing. It was just COVID hit. He's super busy doing his thing. When I was working with him on his books and his projects or whatever, I was one of his guys. It was just more to talk about. And when you write your own stuff, you kind of take yourself off the board for a lot of writers. So, I haven't talked to Rick Remender or Millar or any guys as much, just because they just don't need to chat with me because there's just not much work there. So, it is what it is. I don't think it was anything personal ever.
You guys all get so super busy with all this stuff, and getting back to the Zorro thing. Do you feel like with what's the publisher's name again? It's Whatnot, but what is...
So it's Massive. So Massive's a traditional comic book publisher, but they have a exclusive license to use the Whatnot brand. And Massive's using the Whatnot stuff better than anyone else is. And they kind of see that as a hybrid system, a way to sell books moving forward. So, it's true. People are some people don't like Whatnot, some people love Whatnot. But my friends who are like, oh, fuck Whatnot, it's a bunch of tech bros, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if that's true or not, but Massive's still a traditional small publisher that's just trying to hammer it out, it's not like I'm working with a $6 billion valuable company to publish Zorro. It's a small operation that has a connection to Whatnot. You know what I mean?
Nice.
With plot holes, you did the comic, but then you had to do all the other shit that went with it. Because you were printing it, shipping it. With this, do you feel like I'm done with the book? Now I can just chill and and game plan the other stuff.
Yeah, I can go, here are the files. It's drawn, it's inked, it's lettered, it's colored. I have my own editor. I paid my own team. You guys run the Kickstarter. You do the marketing. I'll go to San Diego. Tell me where to stand. Tell me where to sit. Tell me where to sign. And use your way of making money. You got me for 3 books. Make as much money on me as you possibly can, and then we'll take it from there.
That's a sweet deal, because then after the 3 books, it's all right, cool. Do we continue this partnership? If it goes well, and if you're not happy, you can move forward with something else. And
my plan B was Image, but I know what Image is going to do. Their marketing is limited. They're sort of used to doing things a certain way. Where I kind of want to work with innovators and people who are trying to push something new. And even if it doesn't work, I just want to try people who've got new ideas right now. So that's kind of why I put my hat in with Massive.
That's cool.
Do you know if some of the are there going to be Kickstarter perks like there sometimes are for other things?
Yeah. So we're going to do, my plan anyway, is to do, you can get a set of the issues, a package of all 4 issues. There'll be different kinds of sets if you want different kinds of variant covers. Some of the variants we're saving just for the direct market. We're going to have the soft cover available, hardcover available, 11 by 17 artist edition, but we're going to do that with all 88 pages. So it's 4 issues. So it's
holy
100
shit.
Pages.
Oh,
so 100 pages of 11 by 17 raw scans. We'll do a deluxe. We'll do a black and white only version. And I was going to do a version called the student edition, which would be the most comprehensive one, where I would even write essays and go through lessons in the back on how to set up blocking in pages and panel design and just the things that I know help me when I make comics that I don't get to talk about very much. It's kind of for students in a way. So I'm not sure what the price points on all those will be, but there'll be at least like 5 different versions of the the books. We'll have a few goodies thrown in there too. I don't know if Massive's gonna do T-shirts or I bought 40 Zorro Funkos, which I'm gonna sketch on the top, and I'll throw those in there too. I got them at a bargain because I know Funko's having trouble right now.
Shit.
They offered they sold they have these Zorro Funkos, and they're like, great, these are only $4 each. Let's get rid of them. And like one guy bought 400, and they're like, what the hell? Who is this guy? And I've got them all now. So I'm gonna take some of those to San Diego as giveaways.
That's cool.
Even I picked up one. I was like, I need Sean to like do a little Zorro on one of these because I'm like, it only makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the flat hat on top is like a pretty good drawing surface. All things. Yeah.
How does it work? Like, let's say, well, I mean, I guess I don't know if you thought about this for plot holes too, but let's say the book does like fucking massive, right? And they're happy, you're happy. Mm-hmm. What about like beyond the comic? Any other physical media? Like, what if they're like, hey man, what about like making an action figure or like a couple of action figures?
Yeah. So the deal I have with CPI, Zorro Productions Inc., is they get 20% out of everything I do. If my book ever gets turned into a movie, so for example, Tarantino has a deal with them because he really wants to do a Django Unchained thing with Zorro. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that's like one of the many irons in the fire that Tarantino has. So when the book is done, they're going to send a copy, I think, to Tarantino just because that's his right. So let's say he wanted to make it, and I don't think this will happen. But if they did, whatever money they get, I would get 20% of that. So it's a mutually beneficial type of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I have no illusions of grandeur when it comes to Hollywood stuff. It's just kind of a interesting thing to think about every now and then.
That would be very fucking cool.
Yeah, that'd be dope as fuck.
That the student edition you were talking about, that's a really cool thing because I think that would have a few venues, a few avenues of interest, not just people independently that are trying to learn how to make comics, but there's a university here that does a comic book course, and I think that would be a thing that he would be bringing in for students. Use that.
Nice, yeah. So when I realized, so I wanted to the biggest version of this book would be the most expensive. So I was trying to think of like how to market it, and I thought, man, I know people who are students who will spend tons of money on books if it's educational. If you sell them a deluxe version of Zorro for $200, they're not going to do it. But if it's behind the scenes, if it's how-to, if it's a learning book, if it's basically a textbook at $200, that's cheaper than most of their actual textbooks. 100%. And a lot of students are not spending their own money; they're spending their parents' money. Like they'll spend tons of money on behind the scenes of like Zootopia and all these like Pixar movies. Like they've got all the money in the world for educational books. So if you brand it as an educational book, which it will be, that's why it's the student edition, I think that we can justify the higher price point and give people their money's worth at the same time. That's kind of the plan. So everything I'm doing from now on, I'm going to try to have a student edition, and I hope it kind of takes off because I think it's a pretty easy idea for a lot of creators to just justify the higher cost, assuming they put in the right amount of lessons, essays, tutorials, teaching how to they do comics their way.
But it makes sense according to what you're saying, because if you're teaching, these comic people who want to get involved in comic books, it's definitely worth it. I've seen people walk up to artists with their art and then like walk them through it, and they're like, hey, listen, you're taking too long, walk away. Yeah. But now you have a book that can show you and pretty much walk you towards like the thought process and why you have certain panels looking a certain way. They're definitely worth the price point, because then it's like, oh, I don't have to go to a con, but if I go to a con, I have certain questions I can ask Murphy about this and not take up so much time.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope it serves people in different ways. It might not work, but that's just kind of what we're going with right now. I haven't seen anyone try it this way before, so I'm just curious to see if it gets traction.
There's there's a market. There's definitely collectors out there that their thing is like oversized, like omnibus or oversized like gallery editions and stuff like that, and they try to scoop up every comic that comes in that kind of format. So this will be cool because it'll be one of the first ones that kind of like that, for this kind of thing. So,
and even just for comic shops, like we keep in stock on a regular basis the Scott McCloud books, like Making Comics, Understanding Comics.
Right.
So this would be a fresh sort of thing like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for that kind of high-priced item that's not for everybody, but it's for the super collector or gifts even. The other idea with Zorro is it's a holiday book. So, Robin, every year Christmas rolls along, so I'm guessing you see a spike in Batman Noel.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So for Zorro, basically a Zorro Halloween book or Zorro Day of the Dead. So
smart.
I'm hoping that every year we see this like spike of interest from South American countries.
That's awesome. Super smart.
And so before I bring these ones, I've been showing, for anyone watching the YouTube version of this, I've been showing images that are up on the Kickstarter or ones that have been up on the Sean Murphy Art Sales Twitter page. But there are a couple pages that you sent me earlier, and I think these are, judging by the titles, covers for books 3 and 4.
Yep,
so
yeah, those are.
Here is number 3.
Oof.
So Zorro Man of the Dead issue 3, and Zorro Man of the Dead issue 4. So Zorro Man of the Dead, how much do you want to talk about what the story is?
So it's it's sort of like Don Quixote meets Narcos.
Oh shit.
So the main character is this kid who has he watched his father die, and he has had a psychotic break, and he's convinced that he's Zorro. So he's like, as a coping mechanism, he's just convinced that he's Zorro and that the year is 1820. So he grows up learning how to fight, how to sword fight, how to do all these things. And this village in Mexico is run by narcos, and it's, obviously a really bad place. And the narcos killed his dad. So he sort of springs into action and starts murdering narcos and drug dealers with a sword. And, it starts out as a joke. Turns into a really serious problem for the narcos because they're like, who the fuck is this guy? I mean, he doesn't even have a gun. I mean, he doesn't know what a car is. He thinks it's a carriage.
Because he's totally in the mindset.
He's out of his mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in order for him to defeat the narcos, he's going to have to get the help of his sister, who is working with the narcos. She's a driver for them. So that's where the El Camino comes in. So it's about a brother and a sister reuniting to defeat the people that killed their dad. Yeah. So it's a way to sort of talk about the legacy and the legend of classic Zorro, while also bringing him into modern day, basically.
That's genius.
So I'm doing all these covers. I'm getting classic covers. I'm getting modern covers. It's kind of a little bit of everything.
Is the Narcos sort of inclusion into this strictly because Colleen loves Pedro Pascal so much?
My wife, no, but she's gonna say yeah. My wife loves Pedro Pascal. I mean, who doesn't love Pedro Pascal? She actually just told me before we were getting dinner. She's like, if you go, because I'm going to San Diego alone this year. She goes, if you go there and Pedro Pascal is there and you hang out with them without me, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I go, what makes you think he's gonna be here? I don't think Hollywood's gonna be there at all with the writer's strike. She's like, I don't care, but you just have a way of meeting cool people without me, and blah 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 blah.
Just in case.
So I hope I meet him, and I hope she's mad.
We'll cut that part out.
That's fucking great, dude.
It's probably gonna happen. You never know.
Dude, can you tell? I can't remember if you came on after that episode, or after. I can't remember if you came on since then. Can you tell us how, like, we were talking to Brian Posehn, and he like walked off, and you're like, I met him before, and I don't even think he remembers.
Yeah, he was on my bed.
You woke up.
What?
God, this is like maybe 10 years ago. I'm in San Diego with some friends, and it was like 6 of us to a room. So some of us were on the floor. It was like a suite, but still, it was crowded. It smelled like BO, and people were up till like 3 a.m. And I'm on East Coast time, so yeah. So I was trying to sleep. So I'm like face down in the corner on the bed with a pillow over my face. And someone sits on my feet, and I wake up, and I look down, and if there's anyone you don't want to see in the middle of a fever dream, it's like Brian Posehn staring at me. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know someone was sleeping here. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, Is this a nightmare? Is this a dream? Is that this famous comedian? Like, I think I remember him from some. I think he's a Deadpool writer now.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't remember what happened after that. I think I just fell asleep. But yeah, it was a weird. Yeah, you know what?
That's so funny.
I mean, that's what I get for trying to go to sleep early to be an adult, and everyone else. I mean, all my friends had the party and pot room, so I guess it's my fault for picking the wrong friends.
Yeah, that probably was right around the time when he started writing Deadpool. Yeah,
but even if we're all there together, and if one of you's like, "Hey, Brian, Sean remembers you," like, don't tee me up like that. He's not going to remember me. I mean, I'm sure he's been stoned and sat on a lot of feet before.
A lot of hotel rooms. And stuff.
It wasn't the first time, right?
Yeah.
And that reenactment sounded just like him.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw him. He's going to bed early because you said he had a family now and his kids were there, and yeah.
Yeah, he was
different type of Brian.
He was he had done a show in downtown, the Gas Lamp, and he walked from the Gas Lamp all the way back to his hotel room. And I was like, dude, why? And he's like, oh, I can't do exercise any other time of the day because I'm walking the floor. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's a pretty good impression. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but
now that Dan DiDio's not in comics as much anymore, you can't do your Dan impression.
I haven't had much. Well, I haven't had much of an opportunity, but he's doing something. I think he took a job. I took a job, Sean. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been kind of busy every now and then. I've been working with Frank Miller. I mean, what a dream! Absolute passion project now. Working with him. I forget what he's like.
Ronin 2.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole Frank Miller Productions thing.
He has a book too that was released.
Yeah,
I got my own book. Thanks for reading.
I got a sign. I was talking to him.
I appreciate the support, Dunk. I really do. It's readers like you, the Wednesday Warriors that come in, they buy the books. It's fantastic. Thank you, Dunk.
So besides him and Todd, who else can you do?
Besides him and Todd,
oh god,
like comic people, you mean?
Yeah.
Comic people, I don't.
Let me see. Can you do any other image guys? Can you do Silvestri or Eric Larson?
No, I started practicing Liefeld, but I haven't done it in so long. You know what? I got to brush up. I'll start it. Yeah. And Jim Lee sucks. Jim Lee sucks.
Yeah. If you don't have doing impressions, like if a guy doesn't have a thing that he does, like a there's nothing to lock onto.
Yeah. There has to be something you can exaggerate.
Yeah,
that's why like Todd McFarlane is so easy. You just you talk about baseball. I'll be honest with you, Sean. I bought that ball, that McGuire ball. I bought it for $1 million 10 years ago. People are like, it lost so much value after that record was broken. That ball has made me 10 times as much money over because of all the phone calls and all the meetings I've gotten because of the ball. I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped. So he had a speech impediment growing up, and that's why he talks that way.
Well, now I feel like an asshole.
And now Tom's canceled.
Jesus Christ.
But I was talking. I had a podcast.
And we're all done.
I started doing an impression to his face. He's like, and he was like cool about it. He's like, yeah, when I grew up, I had a speech impediment, and it took me a while to beep. That's why I talked. And I'm just like, oh fuck. But you know what?
Holy shit.
I'll bet Rob Liefeld knows that too and doesn't give a shit because Rob is still happy to do impressions of Todd.
Non-stop he does it. It's so fucking funny.
Rob doesn't give a fuck about anything, honestly.
Just be your impression of Todd.
Yeah, and the way he also describes him, he's like, oh man, he's like, San Diego, walking the floor, this cool guy with this cool jacket and this cool haircut comes up. Hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, how's it going?
I don't think I've seen a picture of Todd with a cool jacket or a cool haircut.
So Liefeld, I think it was the first time that he ever met him. He says he was wearing like a denim jacket. He was trying to look cool or something like that.
That was, back in the late 80s, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What's do you have any items of clothing that are too nerdy for real life, but you'll wear them at a show?
It's like just like Batman shirts, I guess.
It seems like you wear that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's like I don't think it's too. I wouldn't say there's anything too nerdy. Maybe like something that just no one knows what the fuck the reference is, and so it's like,
yeah.
But I can't say no. I can't say I do. You know what's funny? I took my kid to Disneyland earlier today, and I saw a guy walking around in the red shirt with the white print. I'm not Deadpool, or I'm sorry, not Deadpool. I'm not Daredevil, and I laughed because I'm like, people don't realize like that shirt. That specific shirt is literally a shirt from the comic, from like an arc. And so part of me was like, man, that's so fucking nerdy that I know that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's such a good money to be made in like deep cut Easter eggs. These days, like my friend Clay is so into that shit, and he'll wear stuff that's like a reference upon a reference, you know. He wore like the Itchy and Scratchy shirt from The Simpsons, but it was from one episode when it was like a Russian version of it. It's really well designed though. It looks like a Hitchcockian poster of Russian Itchy and Scratchy, and there's like one guy in the entire city of Boston that's gonna know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, that's why they wear it though, is they want to see, like, it's like going fishing for nerds.
Yeah, but like, so I asked him, like, when you wear that, when someone stops you in the street, are you like, please ask me about my shirt. Please ask me about my shirt. Or are you always caught off guard, like, what? What do you want? Or do you wear it hoping someone will like ping you in public? You know?
Yeah. You know what? I guess I'm more like that with like metal band shirts, because like there's some shirts out there for metal bands. The band is so small and so like minute. You're surprised they might even have merch. And so when you see someone wearing that out there, it's like, oh shit! Like this guy listens to. He's like one of like maybe 30 people that that in existence that are fans of that band.
Yeah,
they can get really nerdy with that.
Yeah, it's almost like street cred and people not knowing your cool shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna segue off of you mentioning Clay there. So Clay is a part of the creative wheel of Batman White Knight Generation Joker, along with Katana and Mirka Andolfo. So that one started off great. There's sort of like a bridge between volumes of White Knight. So this one is exploring the children of Harley and Jack.
Yep.
And so how much of the story is just this is what they came up with? How much of that was like a seed that you had planted?
Yeah, so the three of us sat down and I said, if you guys want to keep working, then here's the book that I would like. It would be a Joker's Kids spinoff book. So you've got Joker's children are kidnapped by the Joker. He basically uploads his body into a Batmobile. It's basically like Knight Rider kidnaps his kids and takes them on a road trip. That was my pitch. And then Clay and Colleen came up with like, who should the villain be? Colleen wanted to put in some Harley and Ivy because we never really got to address them. We had a bunch of books in the White Knight universe that were sort of greenlit until COVID. And one of them was going to be a Harley Ivy. So because it didn't happen, we're sort of taking some of that stuff and putting it into the book. So yeah, like even though the seed of the idea came from me, they sort of just took it from there. And I read over the scripts and look at, check in from time to time, but it's mostly their baby, which is how I need it done because my bandwidth is stretched so thin doing my other things. Like I'm really not around to help out that much. Yeah. So Generation Joker, there it is. It's out now. I think issue 3 is going to hit next. Mirka's doing an awesome job on the art. Kind of a different sort of like manga meets YA type of style. It's funny when you follow Mirka's drawing on Instagram. She draws the best boobs I've ever seen. Like they're like floppy B-cup boobs, but they look real and like the bump. I don't even know the different parts of the boob actually. They're amazing, and I feel bad because I'm like, she's like, oh great, this looks awesome. Like I can't wait to draw Joker's daughter. I'm like, well, she's 12, so maybe you don't focus on her boobs that much.
Yeah,
so
you can't draw her like she's in Sweet Paprika.
I know. I feel bad. Like I think Mirka signed on thinking she'd get to draw some sweet titties, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, maybe for some of those other creators that would mentioned earlier, but yeah, it's yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
So Generation Joker has given us we're getting some pieces of continuation from where Batman Beyond the White Knight ended. With we got the introduction of what looks like it could be what we know as the Justice League in traditional comics.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier that this massive stuff would be before potentially doing any more Batman. So
yep.
You obviously have in mind what the next chapter is going to be. How much of that do you think we get teased throughout Generation Joker, and how long do people expect to wait before they might see some info on another volume?
So the biggest tease for my next volume would be Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, and John Stewart as the FBI agents.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect them to get their superpowers by the end of it, but I definitely wanted to tee them up for a possible volume 4 of World's Finest, White Knight. And the idea, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I'll tell you again. I'll spoil volume 4 for you if you guys want.
We're fine.
Here we go.
But in volume 4, Batman is like 60, Clark is 20. So the first half would be Bruce researching Clark, terrified of what Clark represents, and discovering the Fortress of Solitude, and figuring out a way to defeat Clark Kent. And he does. He's able to suck Clark's powers away using the Fortress of Solitude, just like in the Richard Donner movie. When he sucks his powers away, he sets off a beacon. And inside the Fortress of Solitude is like a Stargate. And Bruce realizes, oh, shit. All right, I just defeated this kid. That's good. But this computer screen is telling me that there's a bunch of people headed this way called Kryptonians, and they're pissed. And I just neutralized the only kid that might actually have helped me. So part 2 will be him and Clark forced to work together to go through the Stargate and to get Clark's powers back. And when they go, the computer program that runs the Fortress of Solitude zaps the entire science team, like their support team, when they go in the Stargate. So all the scientists, all the military people, whoever, like, in the movie Stargate, they all get zapped with like the gods of Kryptonia. So one of them becomes the Flash, one of them becomes Wonder Woman, one of them becomes Green Lantern, one is, whatever. So you basically create the Justice League in a new way in an instant. So it's kind of like a Justice League for people that like the characters but don't really care about the past in a way. It's like the White Knight's version of the Justice League. But it still feels true to Justice League because Diana is still from a weird island in Greece. She's still from a culture that feels like very Wonder Woman. And I'm going to find ways to make it feel very familiar. So that's kind of the setup is can Bruce and Clark manage to get along long enough for them to get Superman's powers back? And when they come back, there's basically a Justice League waiting for Bruce Wayne to take charge of. Or maybe it's Diana Prince, actually. But the thing that's interesting, though, is this new Justice League, Clark might be the most powerful one, but he's the youngest, and he's got the most to learn. So it's like future books would be the Justice League run by Wonder Woman and Batman, but they're basically teaching Clark what it means to be a hero and how to be very careful with your powers. That's kind of the loose outline of where I'm headed. It'll be more of a hard sci-fi, like 2001. You know what I mean?
Very
but
cool.
Yeah, for all that, we would sort of not get into Harley or the Dick and the other Robins and stuff. It would sort of be a new type of, same universe. It would be a continuation, but it would have a different flavor than the rest of it.
Yeah, I love how you have continued to like kind of not give a fuck and just do your universe the way you want to do it.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
That's like the thing, like that's something that I was refreshing on the latest White Knight volume, Beyond, and I was reading through it and I remember being like, man, like this is like, I feel like certain fans, right? It's like, oh, this isn't the same, like fucking Sean, like there's like some fans that are like that, but me, I'm like, God, like this is so cool because it's like I don't want the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a completely different take, but with remnants of what I like, just kind of done in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's really, it like literally is like your universe. You have done whatever you wanted with it, and like when you do something, it's like, no, that's it. That's what happens there, and like there's repercussions and there's fallout, and that's the way it's gonna go. Like it's different. It's not how it used to be.
Thanks, man.
How much have you seen any like pushback from fans at all, or do you feel like they appreciate what you're doing?
I think most people appreciate it because I'm not the main line. They give me a lot of room. I'm very lucky to be where I'm at. Like I didn't even plan it this way. I was just supposed to do one volume of Batman and then go back to working with Scott. But the book took off, and I think people they know I'm a hard worker and I'm doing the best I can. They respect my career, and I think, for example, I killed Alfred the same year that Tom King killed Alfred.
Don't
and everyone
remind
like
me.
counts
so long ago.
You know how much shit I give to Tom King every time I see him. My dog's named Alfred. Hey, Alfred. He's right there. Every time you see me looking away, I'm just.
Tom, you gonna kill my dog?
Don't kill my dog.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna tell him at Terrificon. I haven't killed Tom. I didn't bring my dog over because his name's Alfred.
Nice. No, I saw everyone attacking Tom, and people were like, "Man, why couldn't Tom do what Sean did?" Like, I like the way Sean did it better, and I was like, I appreciate that, but keep in mind, I did it in an Elseworlds where it doesn't really matter. So you're open to the way I killed Alfred.
A little different the way you did it.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for Tom. Like, there's no good way to kill Alfred where people are going to be happy. Like, absolutely not. So I feel like because of the universe I've set up, it gives me a wild card where people judge on a grade, basically, and I think most people are pretty kind. It's funny with my universe, either it's people's favorite or one of their favorite Batman universes, or they fucking hate it. And they hate it because they just hate the idea. It's not like they find it confusing or they find it offensive or they find it illogical. They just don't like the idea of Joker being a good guy and Batman being bad. They don't like the chances it takes. It's just like, you know, when you meet someone new and they give you their political opinions and you realize very quickly, oh, I don't think you and I can just
you can never sway them.
Yeah. So it's not like and it's actually lucky for me because if they had legit criticisms like, I don't like the dialogue, this book is trite, I can see where it's going, like those things would really bother me. But the venom that they attack it with, it's like, whoa, okay, this is just not your book, and it's okay, dude. You know,
that's it. Move on.
Yeah.
I think it's come to the point where like we have Detective Comics, we have Batman. I feel that there's a small group of us, not a small group because it's growing. It's exponentially growing, and the more people I talk to about your White Knight universe, they can't wait to see what else is going to come out from it. And I think, like you said, like you're all supposed to do, you know, just Batman, and I was about to move forward, and now we're at Joker's Generation Joker.
Yeah,
it's going to continue growing from there, and I think because of the growing population of what you're going through, I think it's going to be like the third thing that everyone's looking at between Detective, Batman, and now the White Knight universe.
Yeah, it worked out that way.
You've been drinking.
You're right. You know, like you have that built-in, I guess, like you have that built-in safety, like fail-safe where you can hate my book, but you know what? Like it's the Murphyverse and it's self-contained. You can still like the real stuff and say that it's not. It's like okay, but I remember seeing at some point somebody was like, I don't know if it was the same group of people, or because you've seen this, man. Like the fact that you said, you know, at some point we were supposed to have the Harley Poison Ivy book. There's a whole fucking group of fans that like all they want is Harley and Ivy team ups, you know?
Yeah.
And so hearing that that you had that in store for like a full like storyline, they're probably going to send death threats now to DC Comics, knowing that they didn't greenlight it. But I remember
it's not going to stop from happening, right? I guess
we'll see.
You never know.
So you're going to find this interesting. I had 3 books ready to go to spin off of Volume 2. So I hadn't done Beyond yet. Curse had finished up, and we wanted to do a Nightwing Batgirl book where they get together.
Hell yeah.
We wanted to do Harley Ivy, and we wanted to do something else. And this as COVID was hitting. And had the artist who agreed to do the Nightwing one. And she ended up pulling out after I started getting attacked. So she's like, I respect you, Sean. I love the art. I don't do well with drama. I have anxiety. Like I just, you know, so DC was like very worried, like, man, no one wants to work with you. And I said, guys, first of all, like, I don't think I did anything wrong.
It's Twitter, dude.
Yeah, Twitter. Like,
it was also because this was so wild. I remember now. you like you put out an outline about like here's how to be good to your customers.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Oh, he's Comicsgate now. Oh, he's Comicsgate," and you're just like, "What?"
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that meant at the time. I've always been pro customers. Like Comicsgate stole that from me. Then
dude, 100%. Because no, it's true. Like you put that outline out, and it's true. Comicsgate then was like, "Oh, look at what Murphy's saying," and then people are like, "Yeah." So it's like you made that little outline or that thread on Twitter, and yes, they took that. But it's not like you weren't writing their manifesto or something.
No.
All Comicsgate was doing is, here's a pretty coat of paint we can put over top of our pile of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think that they locked on to me because they thought I was going to be Comicsgate, and I'm not a conservative. Like I've got some liberal and some conservative views. Like I've got friends who have guns and hunters and people who voted for Trump, who some wish they hadn't. Like I'm very much like not a centrist, but classic liberal. And on Twitter, we talked about this before, but you just have to toe the line, just do what everyone else is doing. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you guys tell me what to do. Like, they're mad that I'm not mad. Like, I have a lot of opinions on Trump, but everyone else is saying what I already believe. Like, why do I need to get involved with this shit? So people were just trying to come after me. Yeah. So it got to this artist. She was young, and she put more stock into social media than I think is fair. And I think she knows that now, because afterwards she apologized and I said, "Don't worry about it. Listen, as the guy who's leading the White Knight universe, it's my job to make it a welcoming environment for talent. And if the way I tweet and the way I am online disrupts that, then I need to revisit that. I don't agree with how Twitter is right now, but clearly me being the way I was not okay with most people, so it made it uncomfortable for her. And I think it was silly, but it meant a lot for her to turn down a good paying gig. So like I don't blame her at all. And then I think if I invited her back, she'd be happy too. But I mean, when people are dogpiling, when Twitter's out of control, it seems like the whole world's falling apart. Like
it was a sign of the times. It's tough because Twitter is and was still popular,
right?
And depending on your age range, it took a huge toll on whatever your mindset was that time period.
Yeah. So, I moved on and I knew I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I think this is just going to blow over. I think people are just going to wear themselves out. And at the end of the day, my books sell. I'm a generally nice dude. The quality is as high as it can be. I'm reliable. I think I'm just going to win this with hard work. And that's basically what ended up happening.
Yeah.
So a lot of the ideas that were in those 3 spinoffs ended up getting filtered into Beyond the White Knight and the Generation Joker, basically. So that's why it feels a little disconnected, is because there was this COVID hit and then some political stuff hit. But I'm doing the best I can.
it helped to infuse. There was a lot of obviously it's sad that we could have had those spin-offs. Those would have been amazing. It would have been amazing to see those fleshed out. But it also kind of infused a lot of what the fuck into the White Knight stuff, because there's a lot of moments like that with the kids, or with all of a sudden I remember being like Barbara and Dick have a fucking kid. I mean, Bruce is like that too, they got a 5-year-old kid. What the fuck? And you're learning about that's cool too, though, is that you also scratched a couple of itches for some fans, such as Dick and Barbara getting together, right? And something happening of that. There's things that
tension the entire time between them. It's
there's rules, right? There's there's rules for certain universes that you just can't break, and it's well, this is mine, so I'm gonna fucking break them, and you did, and I think that was part of the refreshing stuff.
Oh, thanks. For the Batman, the Dick Bab stuff, because we couldn't get into the real time, sequence of what happened with them. We had to sort of treat it like they had this relationship, but now it's fallen apart because Dick is so focused on the police and policing Gotham. And then you've got Babs, who is more into classic policing, and she's into people's rights. And you can, put on left versus right as much as you want. I mean, it's blended together, but it made Dick was fortunately the antagonist for most of Beyond, and it was just basically a misunderstanding. But if I kept saying to people, if you're fans of Nightwing, then you're gonna continually be upset at White Knight because I don't do Dick any favors. Like he's sort of he gets shit on a lot in Curse, and he's sort of the bad guy and beyond. If you hang in till issue 6 or 7,
he's angry.
I think it's 6.
Flips around.
Yeah,
6 and 7.
Anger.
Yeah. So he manages to turn it around, and I remember drawing the page in the hospital when he's coming to, and he and Babs finally kiss, and I'm drawing the kissing panel. I'm like, this really has to sink in because like fucking Nightwing people are mad at me, Batgirl people are on the fence. I've like teased these two, like this kiss has to be great. So I like have her on top of him, so she's like she's above him, so she's empowered. It's not male gazing. Like I was doing all the math in my head to like
it's not
really hit the bullseye on that. Like,
oh man!
And everyone's mind went crazy. They're like, oh my god, finally! After all this time,
dude,
he understands us.
I want to know. You know what? What I would like to do is track down the people, because was it Curse or was it Beyond, where you like you put up the pages for sale like same day, like on most of the run or something, or most of the issues, and like it sold out almost immediately. I want to know like who bought that, like pages like that, like where it's a fan who's fucking always wanted like Nightwing, you know what I mean? Like Dick and Barbara getting together, and like you put it in the comic, and they're going to buy the original page, and it's like like their wife's like, no, we can't do that. Fuck you. You don't understand what this means to me. It's like our kids in college right now. I don't give a fuck. Like I need this page.
The Nightwing fan who's been hate reading White Knight since 2017, who has $4,000 to spend on a page, is finally getting here like, all right, Sean, you and I are good, and I'm gonna spend $4,000 on you.
That's fucking hilarious.
There's like one guy out there, and I think he bought that page.
Yeah, it has to. That's what I want. I want to know the people that like that, and that's kind of funny too, because like that's interesting. Is like you're giving people like little pieces of like their childhood or fandom, whatever you might want to call it, that like they never thought would happen, you know, stuff like that. Like that's I have a page of the '89 Batmobile from the first edition that you did, just because it's the fucking '89 Batmobile.
Oh yeah, you got to go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
got and so it's like you have to get it, you know.
Cover 7.
There it is.
Oh. Oh, nice.
Oh,
you guys
that was another question. The Zorro stuff. So like you were teasing some of the prelims of the covers for the Zorro stuff. Do you plan on having that like as like, are you gonna do that as like what you normally do, which is like you're gonna throw it up on your big cartel or whatever, or are you planning on like taking that with you to like San Diego, or how can fans, if they I'm not even sure if this some of this stuff's available yet.
AKA, how can we buy it at San
How do
Diego?
fans have the opportunity to, if it becomes available, get on that?
Yeah, well, it's all on my Big Cartel page.
Right now?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Issue 1 is sold already.
Oh, shit.
A guy, one of my buyers in France, bought it because he's going to have a gallery in Paris. So I'm going to be going back to France next year to do a gallery show because he'll have all of issue 1. Nice. Issue 2 and 3 might be sold through the Kickstarter. So there'll be a tier where if you spend, I don't know, X amount, you get an average page which may or may not have Zorro on it. It's just part of the risk, right? So we will probably be doing that with some of the pieces. And then the one issue I'd like to save from retirement, but yeah, there might only be like 40 at most that might hit the market normally. But here's some inside baseball too. So the art market has like dropped down 10 or 20% right now, right? And when I took on Zorro, people are like, oh man, you're not going to get Batman prices out of your Zorro. What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'll sell Zorro for like 2/3 my Batman stuff. Like, I don't expect to get Batman prices out of this. And, you know, I want my buyers to be happy. I don't want to gut anybody. So I was planning on holding most of the Zorro stuff back until the market returned, because putting out pages for sale and not selling is a bad look. So when my buyer from France wanted to buy issue 1, I'm like, great. It just clears all that issue off the market, so I don't have to worry about that. And then if we offer another chunk of it through Kickstarter for like $2,000 a page, like that's a pretty decent price for my stuff. It doesn't have Batman on it. So like I want the Zorro pages to be cheaper than the Batman pages, but I don't want to disrespect Zorro at the same time. So it's kind of like this, like, I'm not really sure. There's a weird math going on right now, and I'm kind of watching the market to see
that's a very good point.
But the crazy thing is Zorro's valuable to a certain chunk of collectors, but most normies don't care.
But you know how you get Quentin his attention when they do put a copy of this in his hands? Include some shit with women's feet. Yep.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, did you?
Zorro's sexy nail polish on his toes.
Well, yeah, like everyone knows he's into feet, and like the guy put a scene in From Dusk Till Dawn where someone drinks beer or wine or something from Selma Hayek's foot, and he cast himself in the role.
What a legend! Absolute legend.
What if he isn't? And what if he's like, fuck, man, everyone thinks what if he's hooking up with a girl and she's like, I know you're into feet, and he's like, honestly, I'm not. I don't know why Reddit thinks I am.
I was just messing with people.
Yeah, well, it's like
I'm a boob guy. I don't know why people thought I was into feet.
It's like maybe it's a gimmick that he just did for a laugh, and it took off, and now he just has to do it, and it's not even what.
Now he's a joke.
Yeah, it's just a goof.
Like his tombstone will be a giant foot, and he'll be like, "Fuck." I thought I had everything planned out, but I guess I didn't.
The dude in France that bought the whole first issue, is that the same guy that bought like all of your non-Batman stuff a couple years back?
Yeah,
same guy.
Yeah.
So this dude is just like he just said, hey man, whenever you put something out, like give me first dibs on first issue of whatever it may be.
So I don't do first dibs because if buyers find out that other buyers are getting access, you can't do that. You have to try to make it fair. So that's why I had most of the stuff hit the market at the same time. And I would try to, no one cares about this, but I would try to do
I care about it.
Where if you're in France or in Europe, you would still be awake and you would have the same shot at clicking on something as someone in New York or LA. So we try to post things at the right hour where everyone could jump on it. And it wasn't to try to scare up competition or for me to, be a dick. It was just like, I don't want people getting mad that they think I'm playing favorites.
To be fair.
Yeah,
and if it's this art isn't, so I only put out 6 pages just because I wanted to constrict the flow of the product. I sound like a drug dealer now.
In a way you are.
You sound like Todd McFarlane with limiting those Batmobiles.
People have their habits,
You make them only 30. Just put 30 out at a time.
Without a speech impediment. Remember that time Bat Force Tom made fun of retarded Todd McFarlane with his speech impediment? Remember how awful that was?
You gotta throw the R word in there too, huh, Sean? Okay. Making the censor work extra tonight.
Remember when we had Todd on the show and you told me you didn't believe we had him on? You thought it was us doing impressions of him?
Did you actually have Todd on the show?
Yeah. And you commented when I posted about it, and you said you didn't actually have him on the show. That was you guys doing impressions.
Honestly, I want to hear that version.
Dude, we should make an episode where it's just everyone's doing an impression of Todd.
Let's just get you drunk. Just 4 Todds in a room. Go.
And then get him on randomly.
Yeah, one of them is real Todd, and at the end, everyone is
hysterical. He'd be like, "Are you guys making fun of me?"
It would be like the time I photoshopped a picture of Dan DiDio to be wearing one of our T-shirts, and it came out too well, and it looked real. Yeah. And everyone thought it was real.
Yeah, nice. That's so good. Even him. I don't remember wearing that, but hey, it's pretty good.
Give me a shot. Give it to him.
Yeah, he'd be happy to get that attention now.
But you were saying the everyone getting a fair shake for the art.
Oh yeah. So we put out 6 pages at once, and then if what you wanted isn't there, you just write to my dealer and ask him, and that's how it worked.
Fucking smart. That's smart. Yep. Nice.
Go ahead.
Do you know this guy? This guy? I'm assuming you probably know him. Pretty. You were in Europe, so did you go and see him? And
obviously he's a fan.
You were reunited with the work, with the art.
Yeah, we went to all the Eyes Wide Shut parties together. If that's what you're asking.
Oh man.
You guys are
he's going in. I won't say his name, but he's one of a handful of people that are in the trade. And if you're looking for stuff, he probably knows who has it and can find it. Mm-hmm. When you get to a certain level of art, buying art like this, the good stuff doesn't even hit the market. It's all in back rooms and stuff like that. It's crazy, and a lot of it is used as hiding money and tax,
very
Swiss
interesting
bank accounts. There's a Saudi prince who buys art, but he buys it through a third party. So no one knows who he is, and I don't even think he likes Jack Kirby. But he just likes to buy those pages because he knows they're going to go up. Wow. Yeah, it's wild. You're talking a very rare, rarefied air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
He's planning on putting that first issue of Zorro as like a gallery. You said in France, but does he have any of your other stuff on display like that?
Yeah.
Either
Yeah, he probably will. He's going to get a lot of artists to do Zorro pinups as well, so he makes it more festive. My French publisher is Urban Comics. They've been doing my stuff for a while.
Great publisher.
Yeah. So they're I know those guys are friends. I've known them for like a decade. They're going to do a special edition just for the gallery. So because everyone in France who's into this knows each other, there's ways to like play with the dials to make money in different ways.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works.
That's cool.
And because I know the publishers, because I call the shots, because like I'm able to help them more, which is why I get these deals. Like it's not like they just knock on my door and propose this stuff. Like I've known them for years and gone to dinners and bought them drinks, and we've got good real friendships, and we know the right people, the right printers. Like this is all like a decade in the making. All this stuff,
That's great, man. That's like it's got to be wild. Like you do this stuff, as you're living. Sometimes I'm sure you think like, man, how the fuck did I get to do this? And you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then you got a dude halfway across the world that's like buying your stuff and then like doing a gallery of it. And then like you're going, and I'm assuming he's going to invite you, whenever it gets displayed.
Yep.
And that's got to be wild. It's like, wow, like people are not only like reading my shit, but like they're collecting it, and now it's like as part of a gallery,
Yeah, no, so I went to France and Italy this year. I did a a signing tour in France to like 6 different cities. I went to Le Mans. I slept in the same room that Christian Bale rented when he was shooting Ford versus Ferrari.
What?
Yeah, and then going to Lake Como in Italy. This is all on their dime. You definitely get to feel. I've felt like rock star treatment a handful of times. I'm talking first class tickets, all of it. 20, 30-year bottles of wine, stuff you can't say no to. It's insane. And I'm not bragging. Really, it's because I got into this thinking this is a life of poverty. And it mostly is for most people. So I really try to be appreciative of all this stuff.
You were doomsday prepping at one point.
I still am, yeah. But it's cool to travel for a few days. But man, after a while, you like get up at 7. You're still on your 5. You're jet lagged. Get on a train. I have a manager / road person. She's my translator. She's like, make sure I get on the train. Go to this town. Arrive. Shake hands with all the people in the shop. Go to lunch. Don't drink too much. Go sign for 2 to 4 hours. Yeah.
That's smart.
And it's if doing these tours with a group is fun, but doing it by yourself, it's like very fixated. It's kind of lonely in a way. And I hate to complain about like 5-star travel and all that, but it's cool for a day, and then it's like, man, this is great, but I'm exhausted. I'm not eating well. I don't know. I can't remember anyone's name anymore. I'm not used to using my voice this much. Everyone's appreciative. People are breaking down in tears because of Batman, and I don't know. It's like it's. I can see why this goes to artists' heads. Like if people are feeling like cock of the walk based on Twitter likes, like I'm primed to be an arrogant motherfucker at this point. So it's just like extra reserves of humility to be like, no, they're just it's Batman. It's not me. I say thank you. This is a blue collar job. You go home, you put your pants on one leg at a time. Like trying to remind yourself how to not lose touch with. This is still a very low rent industry. The fans are, the reason why I have everything. Never be rude. Always be gracious. It takes extra effort to remind yourself to keep it chill. And I think that's where a lot of creators go wrong, is they get all excited about getting likes or being favorited or whatever it is, and it's just it's hard to have like an ego to like be like, no, I'm not as great as you think I am, but thank you.
The ones that I feel like are still around and are still killing it and are still lasting are the ones that have that mentality where they don't let it get to their heads. they are always appreciative of the fans, and they make a point to show that, whether it's at a con or wherever. You know, like, and we were talking about. This is just an example. Like, I went to Disneyland today, right? And I remember and I didn't know who the person was, but it was like a celebrity of some sort that was being taken around, and like I didn't know who it was, but 4 or 5 people stopped them for like photos while they were there, and I remember thinking like, "Fuck, man, like that's got to be weird and like awkward to have to live that life where like but this person, whoever they were so gracious to those people." Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, those fucking fans that's going to be whatever this guy is, he's going to be their favorite now. Yeah. Because it's like, they're going to be like, this guy gave me this fucking moment and it was better than what I would have expected. He was super cool. And like, it's word of mouth really. Like, I forget who it was, but there was this like band guy. I remember I was at an event, you know, for a label. And the guy was there to do, like, he was promoting his, it was Nergal from Behemoth, if anybody knows, this Polish black and death metal band. And I remember, like, everyone was, like, lining up to, like, take photos with him. And I was like, oh, I don't want to bother him. I'll wait till there's, like, a lull, you know, and say hi. And then there was. And I went up to him and I shook his hand. I was like, hey, man, love the new album, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, do you want to take a picture? And I was like, wow. Like, I just kind of, like, I wasn't going to ask, wasn't going to bother. But he's like, yeah, let's take a picture. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then he took my phone. He took my phone and he like took a selfie. Like, hey, was the one that was holding it. And I was like, this guy must have talked to Murphy or something. Like, he this guy knows about like what do you call it? Like, you know, like
that mentality.
How to fan,
I mean, if you're, and that's a real celebrity, not a comic book celebrity, but I think the writing is on the wall with social media. If you're a dick, it's gonna get out fast now. If you don't tip well, that waiter is gonna talk about it. If you fuck over your taxi driver, he's gonna go online. So you almost have to like tip extra just to like go out of your way to make sure everyone knows I'm cool. And there's people that do it very well and people that do it horribly. And there's like nobody in the middle.
Yeah, James Corden. He's like I never knew it. There's nothing but bad stories about James Corden being a dick, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
And I didn't know this either.
Yeah,
he got
that's
like
terrible.
A talking to by somebody. Like, I don't know what happened, but the internet was just like, yeah, he's a dick, and here's why. And even Patrick
Stewart.
Oh Jesus, on the nose, both of you guys.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart gave him a fucking change your tune, motherfucker.
Yeah, shamed him on stage.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then he tried to give Patrick Stewart shit, and it was like, nope, he's Sir Patrick Stewart. Asshole. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, so when I used to go to shows, I remember being really awkward, and when no one's there at all, it's a bummer. So it gets into your head. I remember I was one time people would just come up to me and start filming, and I found that really irritating and intrusive. This is like in 2003, 2004 or 5. So like camera phones were kind of new. I remember looking up and being like, I'm sorry, would you mind not videotaping me? I'm just really uncomfortable. And people were like, oh, okay. Like they thought it was weird, but they were nice enough to put their phones away. And I think about that now. Like I would never ask someone to do that now. And I think it just took years of practice to get good at this stuff. Like how good are you at handling people? Like, are you okay with being at Disneyland with people coming up to you? Does your wife and kids, do they know we're going to get on the roller coaster, but there's probably going to be like 12 people. They're going to want to talk to your dad and it might eat up like 10 minutes of time. Like, are we okay with that as a family? Like that's conversations that people actually have. And there's like a method of doing it that I think is really fascinating, but it takes practice, honestly. And honestly, everyone like fucks up every now and then and gets caught in a bad moment and says, is a little bit rude or short to one person, but it's really interesting.
As you mentioned, like technology changes, right? We went from flip phones recording to like now we have like everyone has a phone and everyone wants to record and experience, and it's a different experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, and there's no way to go to if you want to be successful in comics, you just have to be okay with people liking your shit or unliking your shit or trying to dunk on you, or maybe they're just dunking on you just to get attention, but they don't mean it. Or maybe they're just awkward without realizing it. Maybe they don't know how to react. If you're trying to get
everyone's
coffee,
different.
Yeah, I mean, like they're coming from a good place. It's just a question of like how much patience do you have? And it's hard too because comic folks are very, you're working inside alone most of the day. You're not good at socializing. You're already like lined up for a fuck up. It's not like you're hyper social in the first place. So to deal with this well over and over, like to what Tom was saying, I mean, I've never hung out with John Romita Jr., but knowing the legacy he's had, I bet he's a pretty cool guy that has a way of handling this stuff, because there's no way you're that big in this industry for so long without being a cool guy,
He seems fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll hear bad stories about anyone, because anyone can have a bad day.
Yeah.
You never know if you caught
everyone's
someone on a
yang,
bad day.
right?
Joker.
Yeah. Like
takes
John
one.
Byrne has a ton of bad stories to the point where it might be earned. If I heard a bad story about Klaus Janson or John Romita Jr., I'd be like, nope, you're either misunderstanding or they had a bad day. Like, I don't believe you, because those guys, there'd be threads about it, and there aren't,
Yeah.
Plus, Klaus is amazing.
Yeah.
Plus, Klaus is amazing.
Have you ever heard? Did we ever tell you about Bruce Timm's bad day?
No, I bet he's had a few. I can see Bruce being a little quickly.
Speaking of,
has he been a guest? First of all, has he been a guest?
No.
Robin.
Well, let me tell you the story.
Here we go.
The brief interview we did with Bruce Timm. Tom was there. It was at San Diego.
Yep.
I asked Bruce if he would be on the show. He said no, and we had an awkward 5 seconds of silence. And they said, "Let me tell you why." But he wasn't a dick at all. He was very nice. But that was our interview with him.
Robin gave him a great pitch.
But when he says no and just lets it sit for 5 seconds, like, he's allowing you to think he's a dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he thinks he's going to go in and spin it. But, like, he shouldn't have done that first line. I mean, he might not be a dick.
That was the funnest part of it, though.
Way.
Yeah. That wasn't even the story of his bad day. So I don't know.
That was my bad day.
Yeah, but I mean, Robin gave him a great quick pitch. Great quick pitch, very friendly quick pitch. Yep. And then he's like, "Would you?" He goes, "I was just wondering if you'd like to come on and be on our show." And Bruce him, "No." Like, no. But then he gave.
And then he gave it, and his reason was great for it too, and I understood.
Yeah.
What was his reason?
Well, at that point, he hadn't.
You.
Well, that was, we knew that going in.
I don't do podcasts.
So at that point, he didn't have any projects he was working on. There was nothing, and he said, okay, well, no offense to you, but I've done one project in the last 25 years that everyone wants to ask me the same questions about, and I give the same answers for. Mm-hmm. And I get that. Yeah, why does he want to come on and spend an hour talking about the same thing he was talking about in the 90s?
All right, at that point, can you be like, we have a whole new kinds of questions that you've never heard before?
We're gonna ask you about dildos and
yeah. There was another story. I don't know if it was that same San Diego or a different one, but Legends and another one of our buddies, Sean Risley, he has become one of the biggest gets as far as like original art. Like everyone wants to get his original art. And it used to be where you get to his table at San Diego. He's usually there for every day. You get to his table, you put your name down on a list, and you put down what you want him to do. And he does, I think it's like a 8.5 by 11. He doesn't do anything other than that, in person. He'll do an 8.5 by 11 head sketch. And he will allow up to like 15 to 20 people on the list. And if he wants to do it, he'll do it. And you'll know if you come back throughout the show and he's done it and your name has a check yes. And so it just got out. Like, it got out that like you can go down to San Diego, you can put your name on a list for a head sketch from Bruce Timm, and I think at the time like it was like $120, right? $120 for a head sketch. And it looks beautiful. It's like a beautiful it's a beautiful ink sketch, whatever, head sketch. And it looks iconic. It's Bruce Timm's iconic style.
Yeah.
And for about 4 or 5 years, I remember like it was that easy. You go down there, put your name on the list, first come, first serve. It fills up to about 15 or 20. If he wants to do it, he'll do it. He gives it to you. That's it. And word got out over a couple of years, social media, whatever. And every year, people literally fight to get down to his table, and they fight to put their name down, and they become how people become. When they want to be the first person, they want to get whatever. So he was becoming irritated by what he was seeing from fans to the point where he completely changed it. So no longer can you get down there and no longer can you do first come first serve. It's whenever the fuck I want to put my name, whenever the fuck I want to put the list down, that's when I'll put it. And that's what you'll have to wait for. So you never know now, right?
Yeah.
It's because he's like, I don't want to see these fucking assholes come and fighting each other for a name on the list. But that made it worse.
Yeah.
Because now people are getting down there and they know, like, it's not first come, first serve. I got to wait at his table all day, not knowing when he's going to put the list out. So there came a point when it was, I forget which day it was. It was like let's say it was preview night's Wednesday. I don't think he had put his list out until like Friday or something, you know? And so he was just like, he just wasn't having it, right? Every day people would come by and stand by his table and he'd be like, no, I haven't put my list out. I haven't decided yet what I want to. And so then people would just be waiting by his table. And it turned out to a point when it was like, there was like maybe 20 to 25 angry nerds at his table waiting for him to put his list out so they can write their name down. And it turned into this big, huge line. And the organizers of the show would come by his table and be like, sir, what is this? Is this a signing? And he's like, no. And they're like, well, it's causing an issue. What's the deal? And he's like, I don't know what they're waiting for. They're being impatient. And they're like, well, you have to move them. He's like, why is it my responsibility to move them? And it just caused this issue where, like, you know, the staff was getting mad. He was getting mad. The fans were getting angry.
Yeah.
To the point where I don't remember how it happened, but Legends and Sean both witnessed somebody at the table trying to hand him a Funko Pop and him being so angry that he took the Funko Pop and he fucking threw it back in their fucking head. Like, he literally threw it at their head.
No way.
Like, yeah.
Which Funko was it?
I have no idea.
Is it like a pointy
I believe
Funko,
it was
or...
Bart Simpson.
Yeah, but it's just like it was like, because I think at some point, like, the fans were like fighting each other to be by his table. Like, people were pushing, they were pushing the table. He was behind the table. He was getting angry, and it kind of turned into that. And it was just like,
retired. He's kind of retired now. He's saying he's not doing more cons.
He's probably disillusioned by it because.
And he doesn't want to announce anything until, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Because of that craziness.
Yeah.
Like,
so
kind of what happened with Peace in New York last year. You know? It's like, why deal with that again?
Now his art dealer will just like make it known, like, okay, here's all the pieces that he's done pre-show, and here's where it's located. You can come and you can bid on it or whatever. And now his shit just goes for fucking insane, you know, prices.
Yeah.
Like. And it's why, because you'll look and see what he does it on, and he'll do it on, like, you know, he'll do it on 8.5 by 11 pages, and then sometimes it's just like graph paper or line paper. No joke, dude.
Yeah.
It's on graph paper and line paper. It's like, oh shit, right. But people are still going crazy because it's like, it's like, you know, it's you know, what's it? It's like Andrea Beaumont. What's her character? Phantasm.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So people will just go crazy over it.
I think it's a good problem to have, and it's frustrating for fans because every artist has their own rules, and the artists act like you're supposed to know the rules. Like, don't you know? I'm not saying that Bruce did this, but I feel like a lot of artists be like, "This is what I do. Don't you know that? Like, why would you think that I would just be here to tell you?" And as a collector, you just have an empty sketchbook, and you're like, "Listen, man, I got a pocket full of cash. I want a bunch of Spider-Man sketches. Can you do it or not?" And, like, I understand how frustrating it is as a fan too, especially when the rules of these creators changes throughout the year and from show to show. Like, I don't know what the solution is. I just hope Bruce doesn't get blamed. Other than the thing he threw at that guy, he gets blamed for that. But, like, I just hope people don't
Maybe
get
that guy had it coming.
Him. I mean, this guy is in high demand. He's trying the best he can. I mean, there's always going to be someone that's like, "Oh, come on, can't you do X, Y, and Z? Blah, blah, blah. I'll pay you extra. Please, please, please. You don't understand." And then that person flips it a day later.
It's true.
Yeah,
I wonder how much he was getting pissed about that too, because that was happening like crazy. Like, people would get down there. They'd bring down their families, and they would like have mom signs one, I get one, dad gets one, and then we all flip it the next day. So the funniest,
no good solution there, you know.
The funniest one that I ever saw was I went down there when the first year I ever went down there. I was like, oh, you know, put my name down for Harley, and he did it. And I was like, ooh, sick. Got a Harley from him. And then I'm looking at the list of other people. It's like Harley, Batman, Croc, and then people are like, and his name's right there. So you have your name, you have the character you want, and it's like, Joseph, whatever, Batman, and he puts yes, and it's done.
Yeah.
And he's got like, Jacob, whatever, Harley. It's like yes, and then someone put, like Mark something, and he put Godzilla. And then he just crosses the name out and he goes, no, exclamation point. It's like, well, now I want to know. It's like, does he hate Mark or does he hate Godzilla?
Fuck you, Mark. Oh, Godzilla over John.
Because then it's like, what does that mean? No exclamation point for Mark's Godzilla. What does that mean?
So
it's funny.
So here's a story from behind the table. So I go to Lake Como in Italy, which is like, if you've ever seen the James Bond movie where James Bond's like chilling at a villa inside of a beautiful Italian lake, that's Lake Como. It is like a postcard, beautiful northern Italy.
Yeah.
And the show is like the jewel. It's like the holy grail in a way. It's an artist-only show. Yeah. It costs a lot of money to get in. They only sell 1,000 tickets. They have a big facility with plenty of space. So artists are like climbing over each other to try to get to the show. And I've been turning the show down for years because I don't like airplanes. I don't like flying. Yeah. So this past year they got me to go, and I decided, okay, I'll do a tour in France, and I'll take a train to Italy, and I'll do the Italian show. And I really didn't know what to expect. So my thing at shows is normally I'll just do a windows of signing. So I line everyone up at once, and everyone could just come through quickly. I'll sign your shit. I'll sell you something, handshake, selfie, whatever you need. But I do it that way because I don't like to linger. And when I went to this show in Italy, it completely threw off my system. So I show up and I've got a good table, good spot and everything. But there's like 2 chairs in front of my table. So it's like inviting people to sit down and chat with me, which I'm not good at that. I took a list of like 20 commissions, which I never do, but I was told that this
because it's a talk show.
It's an art show, yeah. So I have to work. So I'm like, okay, and I'm not really sure how this works. I'm sitting next to like Art Adams and people who know what they're doing. So I'm trying to draw the first commission, and people just keep coming up, sitting down, and chatting, and like I cannot do 2 things at once. Like I wish I could be like Matteo Scalera and just chat you up while I'm drawing, or a lot of Art is good at it, but like I just can't do it. Like I'm good at focusing on the drawing. So day 1, I was exhausted because I got nothing done. My wife was there. She's supposed to be there for like an hour, but she stayed all day just taking orders from me. And while I'm trying to get work done, people are sitting down and chatting. And there's like people lining up in order to sit down and chat. So I'm like, why do I even have a table? Like, why can't I just have a room with 2 chairs and just chat with people? But like, I understand as a customer, if you spend all this money to go there to have this like personal connection to creators, this is what you want. Like I get why they're in heaven, but like was not miserable, but I was so confused by like, how am I going to get these commissions done? Like I can't take these things home. I got to get them done while I'm in Europe. So day 2 came along, and I decided to have like drawing windows where I would draw and no one was allowed to talk to me. And I felt like a dick, but I'm like, I don't know what to do about these things. Yeah, I don't know. It was, I don't know if anyone's getting anything out of this story, but like the reason I have a line set up is so I can deal with people all at once, and you can go away, and then I can do drawings back in my hotel room. Like drawing in front of people isn't something I've had to do at shows for like 10 years. So I felt
that's got to be super anxiety provoking.
But it sounds like a very entitled thing. Like very few artists listening are going to have any sympathy for me.
Well, there's a difference.
No, I don't think
you care about your art. Like if you care about your art and you care about the person's paying for, you're very committed to what you're going to do for them.
Right.
There's other artists who's just like, all right, cool. You're paying for this. All right, cool. Give me like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna give you this.
Yeah.
Not yours. And
yeah.
And I've seen this, of course, across the board on various cons that I've went through, and there's a difference. I've seen you draw, right? Quiz sketches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what you did at Lake Como, and I'm over here like, holy shit, that's not like a 5-10 minute thing.
Yeah,
like that takes a lot of time. Yeah, and of course, people are paying for that. holy hell! Like, all right, in my head, and I even told the Katana, I was hey, if that was an option, I'll pay for that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like God, if in New York, I would have paid for it.
Yeah.
And when I compare it to what you do to other cons, when you do quick sketches, I'm like, what you did at Lake Como is minimal still, because I think it's a minimal charge for what it took you to do that. Because man, you were doing full like cover sketches and like your Batmobile and Batman over it and all this thing. It was glorious. Like holy hell, like Jesus.
And I love drawing that stuff. I had colored markers with me. I never do color. I did full body backgrounds, like quick bullshitty backgrounds, but I was charging $400 each, and I know that's cheap, but I wasn't there to gouge people. Like I made a lot of money last year. I don't need to be a dick, but even with my relaxed prices, like I just had a line of people, and they would like, I'd like a Daredevil. I'm like, great, see you later. And they're like, nope. And they would sit down and want to chat with me while I draw. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Like I can't talk to you right now. Go the fuck away so I can draw your Daredevil. But you can't say that to people. Like I don't have a system.
That's where everyone's different too. It's like I see it as like like tapping your head and rubbing your belly. Like I'm always blown away at some of the artists that we talk to that like the things they're doing while they're drawing. Like how the fuck can you do that? Because I can't. If I'm on the phone, I have to stop walking or I'll fall on my fucking face. So it's just I can totally understand it. That's like I'm not sure if you've ever seen other artists, but I've seen like I remember one time like I had Chris Burnham, right? Like he did a sketch for me, and then like I took the sketch, and then I had like a Jacques. Like Jacques was doing something at some booth, and I just had it like tucked under my arm while I went to go get the one from Burnham. And he goes, "Can I see that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I showed it to him, and he's like looking at it, and he goes, "How long did it take him to do that?" And I was like 5 minutes. And he just got mad.
Chris
he got
is
mad.
So slow.
I know he'll say it too. He'll say it too. And he looked at him, and he was like looking at my Jacques, and he goes, "He did this in 5 minutes?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Fucking Jacques."
Yeah. Chris, the reason he's not a bigger name, he's very slow and meticulous, and his stuff's bulletproof. It is absolutely amazing. But
I love his stuff. He does a good exploding head. He does a great exploding head.
Sean, back to what you were doing.
Killed the fuck out of Damien.
What happened is a lot of people when people request what you were doing at Lake Como, there's a cap, because then it's like, hey, listen, I can only do 10 of these a day.
Yeah.
And 10 people do this, whether it's the first 10 people or there's a lottery. And that's it. And that's what most people do. And it sucks because when it comes to Lake Como, man, you're looking at 1,000 people who have entry to this.
Yeah.
But, it's a learning experience for you to say, hey, I can't take on these. Give me what you want. There's 10 of you or 12 or whatever your cap is.
Yeah.
And then I'll knock these out, and we'll go move forward from that.
Yeah. That's a good problem to have. Like I took stuff into the green room where like artists can escape and just get a Diet Coke and chill. I'm trying to draw in the green room, and I have fucking Italian artists up my ass asking me questions about things, and I'm like, I just cannot escape you people. Like,
Sean, you made it.
Sean, it's good to see you.
I should have had bunkos to like throw at their faces.
Well, now you'll have a bunch of Zorro ones to throw at people.
Yeah.
I just imagine
if I start sketching at the table, because people don't usually see me do in-depth sketching, I can gather a crowd of people that will shut up and just watch, which I'm like, great, let's do an art hour. But then sometimes some shows, it doesn't go that way. Like you set up an art hour and people just come over and be like, can I get a sketch? Like, of course, I'm sorry, a signature and like a selfie. And of course they're fine asking that. It's just, there's no way to control it. And I don't know. I just haven't cracked the code yet. I think I just need to take my commissions back to the hotel room.
No, set those out.
Yeah. But the thing that I'm dealing with too is most artists don't write. And when people want to come up and talk to me, they want to ask about punk rock Jesus and my thoughts on religion,
story,
blah blah blah. Like, or about Alfred and Nightwing and Babs and this and that. Like, if your job,
you're multi-talented, you're fucked.
if you're Jock, they're like, what kind of Sharpie do you like? Do you like splatter? What kind of white? I mean, look, what is there to talk about with Jock? Because he doesn't write his own stuff really. Yeah. For most artists, it's just not a lot to talk about unless you're an artist. But if you're a writer, you're in people's heads. So I would get a lot of like in-depth people. Like I love those conversations. I wish I had time to chat, but I can't have them while I'm drawing you Wolverine at the same time, you know?
Yeah. You know what? I guess like the perfect way to deal with that is you have a panel. Like, you know, you do a Q&A first. You do the Q&A first. And then after the Q&A, it's strictly, you know, signatures and sketching. What's your plan for the San Diego? You said you're going to be at what's this called, booth?
A massive booth, yeah.
Yeah, what's your plan for that?
I'm just going to be sitting, signing. I'll do quick sketches and remarks and stuff, but like not taking commissions or anything. Yeah, the point of me being there is to promote Zorro and to help Massive. And if there's any Batman stuff I need to do, of course. But yeah, I'm not taking commissions or anything.
Yeah, so if you see Sean at the Massive booth, shut the fuck up. Just put your book down.
And if you see,
people know I'm not that guy, but when I'm struggling to figure out how do I make it best experience for the people coming up to me too, because I don't want to be the guy with his head down, not socializing. You know, like I thought about putting headphones on, people would leave me alone, but then I look like a fucking dick. You know?
Yeah, that would look or autistic.
I don't think anyone sees you that way. So at the end of the day, it's like
thank God that Comicsgate has elevated you to a certain degree that is not known about you.
Comicsgate knows I'm pro customer. Yeah, those are my boys. Me and the neckbeards, we've got it all figured out.
Oh God.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny when Comicsgate first started. I was in Savannah, Georgia, which is a military town, and I didn't know what Comicsgate was. I knew I heard a rumbling of it, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And one guy came up to me, and he was like 6'4", giant red ponytail. He was like Special Forces, and he's like, so I'm Comicsgate, and I was like, oh, cool, and I'm like signing his shit. I was like, oh, you know, I don't know what that is. He's like, oh, well, you know, we're for this and that and customer service, blah blah blah. And I sensed a few like right winger things in there, but I'm like, you know, it's fine, whatever. He's a military guy. He's gonna be probably conservative. And as he started talking about it more and more, he goes into, he tells me he's got two daughters. One is an adopted Asian daughter, and it's important that she's not white. And the other is a lesbian. So I'm like, okay. And I go, you know, I don't know a lot about Comicsgate, but I feel like a lot of them, if they're anti-gay, like there's some stuff that Comicsgate is saying that you wouldn't want your daughters to see. You know, now it's probably the best way I could like talk to him without like flagging myself as a liberal and shutting him down. He's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I wish I knew what the hell he was doing now. But yeah, it was interesting because I've had a few people like come up to me and self-identify for whatever reason as Comicsgate. And I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Like kick you out of my line.
Just give him the okay, whatever the
whatever.
Yeah, whatever the secret hand signal is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Good stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked a bunch about the Kickstarter. Do we know the date? Is the date public that the Kickstarter is going live?
Yeah, I'm shooting for October. I want this to be like a Halloween Day of the Dead type thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So that's where it's. We have the page up now. You can just click on it and follow it and get. It's called a landing page, I guess. We've got 500 people on it. The backers I had for Plot Holes was 3,200. So I'm hoping to get the Zorro followers up that high before we even launch. I'd love for this to break a record. I think most of the records on crowdfunding belong to Comicsgate. And you know, I'm not judging those guys. They worked their asses off. They've got their thing. Like that's cool. It would be cool to be number one, but I don't think I'm going to be Berserker or some of the other things that have happened out there. But if Plot Holes got to be 250,000, I'm hoping for at least like 300, 350 for Zorro.
That's awesome. Those Comicsgate guys, they do like they do a live, like they'll do like a live stream, and then they'll do the launch during the live stream, and they'll try to do that with it, like you know, incentivize. Yeah. So
there's things those guys do very well. Honestly, there's things that they do better than
just not being
comic book
people.
aside from being people, yeah. Or getting their books out on time, that too.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. I mean, that's at the end of the day, they need to have quality product, and a lot of people who do crowdfunding don't have quality product. I mean, you can have a live stream and get your people, in your tunnel chanting the things back to, whatever. You can have your echo chamber, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a quality product, it is what it is,
Yeah, there's a difference between doing a crowdfund for a project because that's the avenue you're choosing, and the people who do crowdfunding because their work just isn't good enough to be published somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's Comicsgate people that went all in, but then they relaxed after a while and they just got tired of the echo chamber and they just became good creators. There's people in comics who are liberals who calm the fuck down after a while and realize this is getting silly, and they just put their heads down and just started working. I think people are getting burned out in the culture war stuff, but I mean, we're headed for another election, so it's probably going to brew back up again.
Fun.
Yeah. Lucky for you, you're in Canada. You don't care.
Yeah, we're just standing here across the street watching that house on fire. Which is funny because we recently had the fire and the smoke was blowing over there and you guys were complaining about it.
Yeah, thanks, Canada. Way to get your fire.
Yeah, we were.
At least it smelled like maple syrup.
Yeah, you need to do it.
It was a delicious smelling smoky maple syrup.
I wish it was maple syrup.
I remember being in Toronto and a bunch of Canadians were lying to me, telling me that they dip their money in maple, so it has this maple smell. And I'm pretty sure they were fucking with me.
No,
dude.
Okay, see, I got a story for you on it. So, our money does have a definite scent to it, and because it is sort of reminiscent, we do like to say that it is a maple syrup smell. So
are you grabbing money right now in the background? Is that what that sounds?
No, I'm looking for. I have Canadian money somewhere.
You got some Canadian money.
I know I do, because God knows how many times I've been to Montreal.
I was at this was at San Diego, and I was talking to Mike Mignola, and I think it was his wife. Somehow, great detective skills, noticed that I was Canadian. And she said something about she had heard that Canadian money smells like maple syrup, and it's the $100 bills, the brown, they're brown ink on them. Those are the ones that somehow smell like maple syrup. Mm-hmm. So I pulled one of those out of my wallet, and what you do is you rub it, you fold it over, and you rub it against itself to activate it like a scratch and sniff, and then you get the smell. So I activate it, and then she takes it from me to smell it, and she goes, "It really does." And she goes to hand it to Mike, and I see this happening in, like, how some things happen in like slow motion in your mind. I see this happening in slow motion, and like, Mike Mignola is gonna smell my money. So I get my phone out and I turn on my camera and I snap a picture of Mike Mignola smelling my Canadian money.
He was like giggling too while he was doing it.
Did he believe you about the maple syrup?
He did. He said it really does. And then months later, I don't know, it might have been like a year later or something. Someone had started a thread about Thanksgiving, like things you're thankful for. And Mike had replied to it. So then I replied to Mike and said, "I'm thankful for this photo of Mike Mignola smelling my Canadian money." And Mike replied to it and says, "Smells like maple syrup."
That's fucking funny.
We've been here to talk about Zorro, Man of the Dead. The Kickstarter is upcoming. Look for it in October. We've been looking at these. If you're watching on YouTube, you've been seeing these images. You've been seeing lots of stuff. But check it out if you backed Plot Holes, or if you missed it, get on board with this one. There's lots of great perks coming up. Thanks, I got the artist edition of Plot Holes. Getting the full version of Zorro, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Yeah, you can follow the campaign now. It hasn't launched yet, but it will in October, and we'll have a bunch of goodies for you. We learned a lot from Plot Holes, so I'm going to do that 100-page artist edition, 11 by 17. Should be pretty glorious.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, take it from there. And then maybe after that, get back to Batman and Superman.
Awesome.
Fuck
well,
yeah.
That was Sean Murphy, Zorro Kickstarter. This was Bat Force Radio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.